Peace, peace. I'm back with another hip hop album review. I'm sure you've seen this album review plenty of times from different, hip hop heads on YouTube and shit. So I don't care. I did a hip hop review. I did a hip hop album review in 2019 when I had a couple of Wu albums and virus hip hop albums and shit. I was reading up on my collection, and I'm still reading up on my collection. So I ordered these CDs from Discogs. So Discogs is like my new shopping site for classic hip hop albums and shit. Cause I'm going through situations, with my debit card at times. So when I have free time to collect, I collect. I take this seriously along with everything else. So um, here it is, man. This is one of my favorite classic albums. You know what I mean, from back in the day. The Gravediggaz debut album. I had the U.S. version of 6 Feet Deep, but this is like the original title. This was like the original title for the album before they changed it to 6 Feet Deep. You know what I mean? People at the people didn't really like this title for some strange reason. You know what I'm saying? But other than calling it rigor mortis, they call it nigger mortis. So this was the original title for the 6 Feet Deep album. Um, as you can see, the track titles are still the same, except there's a track on here called "Pass the Shovel" that I didn't really feel that much. I feel like it didn't really fit well with the album. You know what I'm saying? The only track that I know that might fit well with this album is "Freak the Sorceress." You know what I mean? Because it was dark and shit. It kind of like fit well with this album. But this album right here, 6 Feet Deep, Nigga Mortis or whatever, is like the classic album. It's one of my favorite debut albums from this group. And what's so special about this group is that Prince Paul was going through hard times. So after he produced the last De La Soul album of that year called De La Soul is Dead, you know what I mean? He kind of went on a hiatus because he felt like he was washed up in the game. He felt like, people were shitting on him and shit. He felt like he was, too played out. He was calling him old school or whatever. After Stessa Sonic broke up and all of that. But the group members on here, of course, RZA, aka the Resurrector, Prince Paul, aka the Undertaker, Fuquan, Stetsasonic, ex-Stetsasonic member, calls himself the Gatekeeper, Too Poetic, the Grim Reaper. You know what I mean? Now, Too Poetic was already in a rap group, which was his brothers called the Brothers Grimm with Brainstorm and the other dude, But he had like a solo album called Dropping Signal, with this record called God Made Me Funky. You know what I'm saying? That video he came out with that song like around 89 or some shit, 89, 88, 89 and shit. And he had the album called Dropping Signal, and he did a demo album with his brothers called on the Brothers Grimm, you know what I mean, which was a dope fucking album, you know what I mean? Um so when Prince Paul was going through his hard times or whatever, he gathered the group together and as for Too Poetic, when his group, Brothers Grimm, disbanded, his brother didn't want to rhyme anymore. He didn't want to pursue his career as an MC, and they kind of tore Too Poetic down. And that's when he went homeless and he started to become dark and grimy and shit and all of that. And people call him the ODB of the group, but he's not like ODB to me because they have two different styles, you know what I'm saying? Just because he's single or whatever, you know what I mean? He ain't call himself the Grim Reaper for nothing. So, you know, there you have it, you know what I mean? This is a classic album. And for those who didn't know about Too Poetic's passing, he passed away from colon cancer after the last album that he did with Fuquan called Nightmare in the Minor. If you ain't heard that, you must have that in your collection, along with the Pick the Sickle and the Shovel, you know what I mean? And they made recent like unreleased songs and shit like Diary of a Madman Part 2. They made a Part 2 to Diary of a Madman, which is called Another Page from the Diary, you know what I'm saying? Which was supposed to be on the Nightmare in the Minor album, but whatever happened, It's on YouTube. Y'all gotta check it out. So these are the original track listings right here. On the 6 Feet Deep version of this album, it has like 16. But on this album, on this version, on this nigga Mortis release, it has like 17 because of the song Past the Shuffle, which I didn't really care for. Like I said, I felt like Freak the Sorceress was a more dark aspect, which should have been on the album to me. But there's an EP of remixes, man. Like in Europe, there's an EP called the 6 Feet Deep EP, which is an EP full of remixes, which I didn't really check out yet. I'm gonna check out after I finish with this. So there's an EP for 100 Suicide, and there's an EP for Mommy What's a Gravediggaz. So you got you got like 3 Gravediggaz EPs out with red tracks on there that's worth a collection to me. I'm gonna scoop those up. You know what I mean? So I want to get the 100 Suicide, mix. It's called the Deluxe EP, which has the Poisonous mix on there, the 100 Suicide, and like the new vocal version, which they made a video for. You know what I mean? For this album. So as you all know, the singles are Diary of a Madman, Nowhere to Run, and 100 Suicide. Now, for those of you who ain't seen the video for Diary of a Madman, it's on YouTube and shit. I seen that video when it first came out in '94. I was 10 years old, coming home from school, whatever. My uncle was doing security around that time, so I had the room to myself. So I was just watching videos or whatever. So I used to see the promo video on the box. There was this show called The Box. They were showing that promo and the Flatliners Live Evil promo. So when I saw the promo for Diary of a Madman, it looked kind of scary back then, because it was a black and white video. So when I saw the full video on Video Music Box, I only saw it one time and never saw it again until, they made Nowhere to Run, Nowhere to Hide video. You know what I mean? So, and then the 100 Suicide video. But fast forward, this album is one of my favorite classic hip-hop albums of all time. You know what I mean? I feel like this album is still slept on because Wu-Tang fans that heard of Gravediggaz or whatever, certain hip-hop fans, certain Wu fans weren't really into this group and shit, or into the horrorcore genre, because most people that studied the game at that time probably knew that shit wasn't going to last. And, you had groups like the Flatliners, which brought it to light, along with the Headless Horseman, and you had the Fear soundtrack and all of that, which had groups like Half Pit, Half Dead or whatever, and groups that was on that soundtrack that didn't really, last long. I think Half Pit, Half Dead are from Brooklyn as well, you know what I mean? 2 white rappers and shit. But horrorcore didn't really last too long until ICP came, commercialized it and brought it back to life with the Juggalo movement and all of that. So, you had dark rappers before, like Eshawn and all of them. I'm not gonna get into all of that debate and shit, you know what I mean? But '94 was a good year, for that. Along with Nas' first debut album, Illmatic, and Notorious Big's debut album, Ready to Die, Meth's debut album, To Cal, and Gangstar album, and Mason Smooth album, Jewel of the Now, you know what I'm saying? This album is an important part of my life right now, you know what I'm saying? The first Gravediggaz album that I had when I was 13 was their second album, The Pick, the Sickle, and the Shovel. So, but this album right here, this album didn't have the parental advisory on here. It doesn't have the parental advisory sticker. No hip-hop albums had the parental advisory stickers. This one, the 6 Feet Deep version does, but this one, I didn't even know they didn't have the parental advisory sticker, but whatever. This might be the clean version I got. I'm not too sure. I hope this ain't the clean version, but this might be the clean version. I don't know. But if it is, I'll just order 6 Feet Deep again, whatever. But I hope this ain't the clean version, but this album is a classic, you know what I mean? Prince Paul was going through some hard times. He put this group together for a reason, you know what I'm saying? Because he felt like he was being swept up under the rug and shit. And when he was shopping the demo to different labels, the first song on that demo tape that they did was called The House That Hatred Built. You must check that out on YouTube. It's on YouTube, the whole demo tape. You know what I mean? That been discovered by some guy at G Street Records. I think I forgot his name now, but and then he was gonna call the shit horrorcore. Prince Paul didn't want him to call it that, but Russell Simmons had the Flatliners, so they both came out at the same time anyway, the same year. So this album is like Prince Paul was going through some dark times the way he felt like he was being washed up because RZA was on Tommy Boy along with Too Poetic, and the Gatekeeper was going through some hard times after the Stetsasonic broke up. So he scooped them up. They did the demo. They shopped it to mad different labels. He shopped it to Def Jam, and Russell turned them down and shit till he formed the Flatliners. That was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember I was watching this documentary on MTV around 1999 called MTV Uncensored, and he was saying there were plenty of whack videos. It wasn't the only whack video. You know what I'm saying? He was dissing the Flatliners video and the gravediggaz video. So I was like, damn, hope I could find it on YouTube somewhere. But anyway, back to this shit though. So when he formed this group, he shook the industry with the Diary of a Madman joint, which had Shabazz the Disciple, Killer Priest, Freddy Krueger. You know what I'm saying? Shabazz the Disciple and Killer Priest had a group called Disciples of Armageddon. They had mad demo songs and shit during this time period. So they was cooking up shit, you know what I mean? And this album spawned a lot of, artists and shit like that, especially on the track Graveyard Chamber, you know what I'm saying? And it's funny, I really hear this album and I really hear this album from other hip hop listeners when they bang old school hip hop in their cars and shit. Like they bang a lot of woo shit, but they ain't banging no Gravedigger shit, which is crazy to me. I mean, when I was in Rockaway, I heard it, you know what I'm saying? But I had to cop this album again because it's a classic to me. Like I said, I hope this ain't the clean version. I just get the other version later, 6 Feet Deep version later. But I'm a big old school hip hop Gravediggaz fan, and this shit is a fucking classic, man. From front to back. You know what I'm saying? I don't got no favorites. My favorite is Diary, but I like the whole album, so, as you can see the album artwork, you know what I mean? This is fangs and shit. Let's start this shit. Only ODB and Method Man had the fangs. Nobody in the Wu never rocked the fangs like that. You know what I'm saying? Except for Beretta 9 or whatever in the later projects, but just the cover artwork. With the hooks and the sickle. The crazy ass knife and the shovel. You see this is written by Ezekiel the Third. If you take a look at what it says here. You see the songs and the shout outs and shit. Songs and shit. Crazy. See the shout outs and everything. This is a classic album right here. Whoever doesn't have this in their collection should be sorry for themselves. Get the 6 Feet Deep version and this version if you're a true collector or whatever. I'm getting all the versions, and I'm getting the 6 Feet Deep version and the remixes and shit, and that shit, you know what I mean? Along with their second album and third album. That's it for me right here. But as you can see the singles, I just got this in the mail today. I forgot I ordered two. This is the Diary of a Madman single. You know what I'm saying? Thanks to the seller that sold me this right here. This is the single for the song Diary of a Madman. Darkagez, the single. Right, so classic. Another one. I'm gonna get the 1-800 Suicide Deluxe EP and Mommy What's a Gravedigger EP and a 6 Feet Deep EP and a 6 Feet Deep album, Depict the Sickle and the Shovel in their third album. This shit right here is crazy. You can see. Oh yeah, the Nowhere to Run and Nowhere to Hide single too. I like the album artwork on there. It's crazy. So there you have it. When I get the other remixes, I'm gonna show that. This is like my favorite classic hip hop album of all time. Once I get the 2 other Gravediggaz albums and the EP and shit, I'll be good to go. And there's more hip hop albums that I want to get back. As far as my Wu collection and shit, So Discogs is the perfect site that has all of that. A lot of sellers that's selling all of that shit. So enough respect to Prince Paul for forming this group. You know what I'm saying? Teaches you how shady certain people could be in the industry and shit, but this is the foundation right here. It's part of hip hop history forever. You know what I mean? If you don't know, I have a hip hop collection along with every other genre that you have, you know what I mean? However you sort out your collection or whatever, I'm sorting out my collection like this. You know what I'm saying? CDs will never get played out to me. You know what I mean? When your phones die, when your playlist is fucked up, when you get a CD player and just, hey, zone the fuck out, get a radio, get like a CD player with a tape player and shit. Fuck it. I don't care. But, there you have it. This is my Gravediggaz CD collection until next album review. See y'all when I see y'all. I'm out.